I think one of the things is acknowledging that many women and people of color have long too, well, have long too long have been overburdened by this responsibility. And so I would say I welcome white men and women who are saying they want to take a leadership role on this. I think the challenge sometimes that you're going to have to navigate is that, I guess, let me just tell you a brief story. I remember the first time I went to a women's leadership feminist event. And the tendency for men to show up when they show up at those events is they want to kind of take over the conversation. That's just how we're kind of, you know, we're raised to be like. And one of the things I learned in being that experience and learned several things since is that sometimes when I enter a space like that, I need to learn, I need to wait to be invited. I need to be okay and comfortable being a second fiddle or taking a back seat. And I give that to, if you're a white male, the same kind of mindset. That all too often we're enthusiastic and want to make something happen, but we think we should be at the lead. When we should be sitting back, maybe I can use my privilege to invite other people to be part of this conversation who are overwhelmed and tired by this conversation because they're always the person they go to for these topics. Maybe I need to be going to find out who in my organization has already been doing this and what I can do to support their efforts versus me taking a lead on this. And so I'm saying that from the perspective of how do I use my privilege in a positive way versus it actually creating the same kind of challenges I was trying to avoid in the first place. So if as a male, I have to be mindful of that all the time when I work on the spaces. And I would say as a white man, you have to be mindful of what does it mean to be a white man in these spaces trying to have these conversations. And for some reason or another, you find yourself taking the lead on it. Is there someone else who's been talking about this already that you need to support and push them up to the front and be the hype man for them? I would love to have a hype man for the conversations I have, where I could be like, yeah, and then someone says, yeah. You know, if you could be their hype man, that would be a beautiful thing, because then their voice doesn't get diminished oftentimes. You hear these stories from the women who worked for Obama, how they would strategize with one another and talk about how we're going to support one another when we get diminished by one of the men or other people in the room. We're going to actually strategize and support one another. And that might be one role you serve that doesn't look like me leading it, but actually supporting what's already going on. So that's something to be mindful of as you're kind of looking at your role and how you might help to push this initiative forward in your organization.